I threw away a loyal relationship for passion, and learned too late that passion without respect is just humiliation. I told myself it was just coffee. Tyler had asked me 3 times before I said yes, and I remember the exact moment I justified it, standing in our kitchen at 6:47 a.m. on a Tuesday, watching Daniel load the dishwasher the way he always did, methodically, quietly, rinsing each plate twice before placing it in the exact same spot he'd used for 7 years. Reliable. Predictable. Safe. And I felt this crawling itch under my skin that screamed, "Is this it? Is this all there is?" I was 32 years old, and I felt ancient. Tyler made me feel seen. He texted me during meetings with inside jokes about our boss's terrible Thai collection. He remembered I mentioned loving Thai food once in passing and sent me a list of the best places in the city. He called me beautiful in a way that felt dangerous, like he was confessing something he shouldn't. Daniel called me beautiful too, but it sounded like muscle memory, something he said while scrolling his phone or tying his shoes. Tyler made it sound like a discovery. We'd been married for 7 years. Together for 9. We met in college, dated through graduation, moved in together when I got my first real job. He proposed on a beach in Oregon, nothing flashy, just him and me in a sunset that made everything feel possible. We had a 4-year-old daughter, Lily, who had Daniel's dark eyes and my stubborn streak and a laugh that could fill an entire room. He was a good father. Patient. Present. He did bedtime stories every single night, even when he was exhausted. He was a good husband. He remembered our anniversary, he split the chores without being asked, he never raised his voice even when I picked fights about nothing. My friends called me lucky. My mom called me blessed. And I was. I knew I was. But Tyler was electric. He worked in sales at a company we partnered with, and every interaction felt like flirting disguised as professionalism. Our emails got longer, more personal. He made me laugh during Zoom calls in ways that made my coworkers raise their eyebrows. He made me feel young again, not like someone's wife or someone's mom, just Jessica. The Jessica I thought I'd buried somewhere under diaper bags and mortgage payments and the slow, suffocating comfort of routine. The first time we had coffee, I told myself it was networking. We talked about work for maybe 10 minutes before it shifted into something else. He asked about my life, my dreams, the things I wanted to do before I turned 40. I realized halfway through that I didn't have good answers anymore. I'd stopped thinking about myself as a person with dreams. I was Daniel's wife. Lily's mom. A project manager at a mid-sized tech firm. Tyler looked at me like I was more than that. The second coffee turned into lunch. Lunch turned into drinks after work. Drinks turned into his hand on my lower back as we walked to our cars, lingering just a second too long. I didn't plan to sleep with him. That's what I told myself right up until the moment I did. It happened in his apartment on a Thursday afternoon. I told Daniel I had a late meeting. I told myself I was just going to talk, to see where this was going, to prove to myself I could still turn back. But the second Tyler opened the door, the second he looked at me like I was the only thing in the world that mattered, I knew I was lying to myself. The affair lasted 4 months. I got sloppy. I stopped caring about the lies because they came so easily. I'd tell Daniel I was working late and meet Tyler at his apartment. I'd silence my phone during dinner with my family and smile at Lily like nothing was wrong, like I hadn't just spent 2 hours in someone else's bed. I started resenting Daniel for not noticing, for trusting me so completely that it made me feel invisible. How could he not see it? How could he not sense that I was somewhere else even when I was sitting right next to him? I started detaching from Lily too, and that's the part I hate myself for most. She'd want to play dolls or read books, and I'd feel this wave of irritation, like she was keeping me from something more important. I'd put on a movie and scroll my phone, texting Tyler, planning our next meeting. I'd tuck her in and feel nothing except impatience to get back downstairs and check my messages. Tyler never talked about leaving his girlfriend. I never talked about leaving Daniel. It was supposed to stay compartmentalized, a secret little world that existed separate from real life. A fantasy. An escape hatch from my boring, stable, suffocating existence. My friends didn't help. Not directly, but they fed into it. We'd go out for drinks and they'd complain about their husbands, about how boring marriage was, about how they felt trapped. One of them, Monica, had been having an affair for over a year. She made it sound glamorous, like she'd unlocked some secret level of life the rest of us were too scared to access. She'd say things like, "We only get one life, Jessica. Don't waste it being comfortable." I wanted to believe her. I wanted to believe I deserved more than comfortable. Then Daniel found the texts. I'd left my phone on the kitchen counter. Lily had knocked over her juice cup, purple liquid spreading across the table, and I was in the laundry room grabbing paper towels. When I came back, Daniel was standing there, holding my phone, staring at the screen like he was reading something in a language he didn't recognize. The blood drained from my face. He didn't yell. He didn't throw the phone. He didn't throw anything. He just looked at me, and I watched something break behind his eyes in real time. How long? His voice was so quiet I almost didn't hear it. I couldn't speak. My mouth opened but nothing came out. My brain was screaming at me to say something, anything, but I just stood there holding paper towels, frozen. How long, Jessica? 4 months. It came out as a whisper. He nodded slowly, like he was absorbing a fact he'd suspected but didn't want confirmed. Then he set the phone down carefully on the counter, turned, and walked upstairs. I followed him, my heart slamming against my ribs, my hands shaking. He went to our bedroom and started packing. Methodically. Quietly. Jeans. Shirts. His toiletry bag. Daniel, please. Please, we can talk about this. We can fix this. He didn't look at me. He just kept packing. It was a mistake. I'll end it. I'll do anything. Please. Nothing. Then he went to Lily's room and started packing her things. Her favorite stuffed elephant. Her blanket. A few changes of clothes. That's when I started panicking. Daniel, no. You can't take her. Please. We can work this out. He finally looked at me. His eyes were red but dry. I'm not working anything out with you. Not now. Not ever. She needs her mother. Her mother should have thought about that before she fucked someone else. I'd never heard him curse. Not once in 9 years. He called his sister. She came within the hour. Lily was confused, asking why Daddy was packing, why he looked sad, why I was crying. I tried to pick her up, to hold her, but Daniel stepped between us. Not right now, he said. I tried to push past him. She's my daughter. His voice dropped to something I'd never heard from him before. Cold. Final. You don't get to use that card anymore. You gave that up the second you chose him over her. Lily started crying. She didn't understand what was happening, but she could feel it. Daniel picked her up, grabbed their bags, and walked out. I stood in the doorway and watched them drive away. I called after them, but my voice disappeared into the empty street. The house was silent. I called Tyler. It went to voicemail. I called again. And again. He texted me 2 hours later, I think we need to cool off for a bit. That's when I knew. I'd burned my entire life down for a man who couldn't even answer the phone. Tyler stopped answering my calls completely 2 days later. Turns out, passion without respect is just someone using you until it becomes inconvenient. His girlfriend found out. I don't know if he told her or if she found evidence the same way Daniel did, but the outcome was the same. He told her I'd pursued him relentlessly, that I was obsessed, that he tried to end it multiple times but I wouldn't leave him alone. He painted himself as the victim and me as the unhinged married woman who wouldn't take no for an answer. She believed him. Why wouldn't she? I was the one who cheated on my husband. I was the villain in everyone's story now. She posted about it on Facebook. Not fake posting, not coded language. She used my full name. Tagged me. Shared screenshots of messages between Tyler and me that he'd apparently sent her to prove his innocence, messages where I'd said things about Daniel that made me look cruel and ungrateful. Messages where I complained about Lily being clingy, about how exhausting motherhood was, about how I deserved better than my boring, predictable life. My phone exploded. I got messages from people I hadn't spoken to in years. High school classmates. Former coworkers. Distant relatives. Some were morbidly curious, asking if it was true, fishing for details. Most were cruel. Strangers called me a whore. Old friends called me selfish. Someone I'd been in a book club with for 3 years sent me a message that just said, I hope it was worth it. My college roommate, who'd been a bridesmaid in my wedding, who'd helped Lily when she was 2 hours old, blocked me everywhere. Instagram, Facebook, her phone. Just gone. Daniel's family stopped acknowledging I existed. His mother, who used to text me recipes and funny memes, blocked my number. His sister, who I considered a friend, made a public post about loyalty and trust without naming me directly, but everyone knew. Daniel filed for divorce within a week. His lawyer was a shark, efficient and cold and armed with screenshots I didn't even know he'd taken. Messages between Tyler and me. Messages between Monica and me where I talked about the affair like it was exciting, like it was something I deserved. Messages where I complained about Daniel in ways that made me sound like a monster. My lawyer looked at the evidence and told me I didn't have a case for equal custody. I'd abandoned my family emotionally long before I'd physically cheated. The texts proved it. The pattern proved it. I'd chosen someone else over my daughter repeatedly, and now I'd face the consequences. I got every other weekend. Supervised at first because Daniel didn't trust me not to confuse her or poison her against him or introduce her to men I was dating. The supervised visits were humiliating. A court-appointed woman named Patricia sat in the corner of a sterile room at a family services building and watched me play with my own daughter like I was a stranger being evaluated. Lily would ask why we couldn't go home, why we had to stay in this weird room, and I had no answer that made sense to a 4-year-old. I lost friends in batches. The couple friends sided with Daniel immediately. We'd had dinner parties together, game nights, play dates with the kids. They chose him without hesitation. I got uninvited from book club, from brunches, from group chats I'd been in for years. People stopped tagging me in photos. I became a ghost in my own social circle, erased like I'd never existed. My single friends didn't want to be associated with me either. I was that kind of woman now. The cheater. The homewrecker. The cautionary tale they tell at happy hours. Work got unbearable. Someone from Daniel's company worked in my building. Word spread like wildfire. I wasn't fired, but I was quietly moved to a different team, phased out of client-facing roles, excluded from meetings I used to lead. My boss stopped making eye contact. Co-workers who used to chat with me at the coffee machine started taking different routes to avoid me. I moved into a 1-bedroom apartment across town. It was supposed to feel like a fresh start, a chance to rebuild. It felt like a prison. The walls were beige and thin and I could hear my neighbors fighting through the vents. I'd sit on the cheap couch I'd bought at a thrift store and stare at my phone, scrolling through photos of my old life. Pictures of Lily. Pictures of Daniel and me on our honeymoon. Pictures of a life I destroyed because I was bored. I tried to reach out to Daniel once, about 6 weeks after he left. I texted him that I was sorry, that I knew I destroyed everything, that I just wanted him to know I understood what I'd done. I wasn't asking for forgiveness or another chance. I just needed him to know I saw it clearly now. He responded 12 hours later, "I hope you find what you're looking for." Then he blocked me. Lily started calling Daniel's new girlfriend Miss Rachel during one of our supervised visits. She mentioned it casually, talking about the pancakes Rachel made, shaped like bunnies. She talked about the zoo trip they'd gone on, how Rachel let her feed the giraffes. She smiled when she talked about her, this innocent, happy smile that felt like a knife in my chest. I smiled back and said that sounded fun and felt something inside me crack. I tried dating again about 4 months after the divorce was finalized. I met a guy on a dating app, someone who seemed nice and normal and safe. We went on 3 dates. Dinner. A movie. Coffee. On the 3rd date, while I was in the bathroom, he Googled me. When I came back to the table, he was gone. He'd left cash for his half of the bill and blocked my number. I see them sometimes. Daniel, Lily, and Rachel. At the park near my old neighborhood. At the grocery store. At the farmer's market on Saturday mornings. Lily runs to me when she sees me, her face lighting up, and Daniel lets her. He's not cruel. He doesn't keep her from me. But his face is blank when he looks at me, like I'm a stranger he used to know a long time ago. Rachel is kind, polite, distant. She's younger than me, maybe 28. Pretty in an effortless way, with long dark hair and an easy smile. She looks at Daniel the way I used to, before I stopped appreciating what I had. Before I started looking for something more. Lily asks me sometimes why I don't live with them anymore. I tell her it's complicated, that mommy and daddy are better as friends, all the things the custody evaluator told me to say. But she's 4. She doesn't understand complicated. She just knows her family is broken, and somewhere deep down, she'll grow up knowing I'm the reason why. Monica, my friend who'd encouraged the affair, who'd made it sound empowering, stopped talking to me too. Turns out her husband found out about her affair around the same time Daniel found out about mine. But she played it differently. She cried, she begged, she went to therapy. He took her back. She rebuilt her life and cut me out of it because I was a reminder of who she used to be. I thought I deserved passion. I thought I deserved to feel alive again, to feel desired, to feel like something more than a wife and mother drowning in routine. What I got was a masterclass in humiliation, loneliness, and consequences I'll carry for the rest of my life. Tyler never loved me. He barely knew me. I was just convenient, available, willing. Daniel loved me. Daniel would have done anything for me. And I traded the man who memorized my coffee order and held my hand during scary movies and built our daughter a treehouse in the backyard for someone who couldn't even be bothered to text me back when things got complicated. I wake up in my beige apartment and look at the empty space next to me and think about all the mornings I woke up next to Daniel and felt nothing. Now I'd give anything to feel nothing again instead of this. If you think the affair will be worth it, if you think you deserve better than loyal and steady and safe, Screenshot this and read it again when you're about to press send on that message. Because I promise you, the person who helps you cheat will never be the person who helps you heal. And the life you're trading away is the one you'll spend the rest of yours trying to get back.